In this video tutorial, you will learn how to search the catalog of St. Paul's Greek Orthodox Church Library. Now, there are two ways you can locate items in the catalog. You can do a keyword search, or you can browse the collection. Let's go over the first type of search, a keyword search. A keyword search is helpful if you already have some sense of what you're looking for. So you might know the title or the author or the topic of the book you'd like to read. In that case, you just enter the term or phrase or name as in an author in this keyword search box. So let's try this out. Let's say you want to look for a book in the library about the Beatitudes. Let's go ahead and type that in there. Press search. And here we have 7 records that feature the term we searched, Beatitudes, in its record. Now you'll note that it's highlighted when a term occurs here in the title, it's highlighted. Here we have another example. And if you click on any of these other books, let's click on this one. You'll find the term included here, in this case in the content notes. So be aware that the default is actually anywhere. So if you enter a keyword term, it will search the title, it will search the author, it will search the subject, and it will search any content notes that appear in the book record. So let's do another type of search. Let's search a phrase. Let's search the Jesus prayer. Now note that the default is anywhere, and these two terms included in this phrase, Jesus and prayer, will be searched for their presence in any place in the record. So that includes the title, the author, the subject, the content notes, and in any order that they occur. So just because you've written it here, Jesus prayer, unless you enclose them in quotes, it will search for these two words in any order in any place in the record. So let's just go ahead and enclose them in quotes and see what happens. And that's always a good piece of advice for any specific thing that you're searching. And here are a lot of records that focus on the Jesus prayer. Now again, if you don't want to use quotes, you don't have to do that. And let's just look to see how the result would be different if we just left it like this and searching anywhere. And it's really just a matter of how broad or narrow a search you want to do. If you just want to find any occurrence of these terms, no matter how they're used in any record in the catalog, then that would be a very broad search. So you can see how much different these titles are than the search results that we got when we used the term in quotes. So let's just quickly click on this first record here so you can see a little bit of the difference. So as we scroll down, we notice that here are the terms that we searched, but since we didn't put them in quotes, they occur in any order. So in this instance, a prayer to Jesus Christ. And that may be what you're looking for, or may not be. So just as you do some of these searches, keep in mind if you want a very broad search or a narrow search. It's up to you. Let's do another example. Let's search an author. What about Thomas Hopko? Now for authors, you really don't need to put in the full name. You can if you like. And again, it doesn't matter any order. In this instance, you can put it first name last name first. If it's not in quotes, the computer again will search any occurrence of those terms anywhere in the record. But since there aren't authors with overlapping or similar names, the last name is usually fine. And since author names are really unique, you don't necessarily have to limit to author, but you can if you like. It's up to you. So let's press search. And I'll show you the difference in a second. So here we have a lot of records where he is obviously featured as the primary author. But what about some of these other ones? Let's go back to this one at the top. So if we scroll down, here he is. He's in the content notes. So again, just something to be aware of. If you want to search the record in its entirety for any occurrence of the term, you leave it at anywhere. If you want to search more specifically, in this instance, an author and only books that he was the primary author to, in this instance, not any books where he was either a subject of the book or a contributing editor of the book, then in that instance, sure, go ahead and restrict the search to the author keyword field. And here you have a more specific list of books that he has authored. And you'll notice here on the side, additional authors, numerous subjects, classification numbers, formats, languages, different locations of the books. And these I will go through in the advanced searching tutorial, along with additional advanced searching techniques, author browse, and subject browse. But for this tutorial, we're just going over some of the basics. So now that we've done a couple of keyword searches, let's go over the other type of search, browsing. So let's say you're not looking for anything specific, but you'd still like something to read, and you'd really just like to browse the collection. Well, there's a really easy way to do that. Go over to here to Location drop-down menu, and you can see here a list of all the books, book categories rather, that we have in the library. You can select any one of these. Let's say spirituality. You can go over here to keyword, enter in asterisk, and this part doesn't matter if it's anywhere author keyword, it doesn't matter, just as long as the asterisk is here in the search field. Go ahead and place and select search. And here are all the books that occur in that particular location or subject category. And it's just a nice, easy way to browse the collection, to look through titles that you might be inspired to read. Just a fun little tip. So let's actually click on one of these and I'll show you something else. Let's click on this one. You'll notice here in the record that there are books listed above the record and to the right of the record. And this is a nice little browse feature. The books listed here, and as you hover over each, you'll see the title. And if you click on any of these, it will take you directly to that particular book record. And these are items located on the same shelf as the book here in the record. So it's just like if you're going to the public library or a bookstore and just browsing the shelves, this is the digital version of that. And over here in the similar items category are books that may not necessarily be on the same shelf or shelves, but they have overlapping topics and might interest you as a reader. So for example, the Orthodox Christian Journey is located, I believe, in the conversion section. I'm not 100% sure, but again, it will have some overlapping topics of interest for you as a reader. And one additional cool feature, you'll see here that some books, not all, but some, have a Google preview. I try to include as many as possible. Let's click on it. And it will take you to that book, and you can just browse through it, and it will help you decide if this is a book you really want to check out. So a cool little feature. Additionally, you can click on these links here, either author or subject, and it will take you to any additional books that match that. So if we click on author, for example, the catalog will retrieve any other books by this particular author. In this case, he's a Quaker author, so he's the only Quaker author we have in the catalog. But if we click on something more broad, such as Spiritual Life Christianity, you'll see that we have a lot of books with that particular subject category. So there you are. Those are the two basic ways to search, keyword search and browsing. Before I go, I want to give you one little tip. If you're a bad speller like me and it's you can't remember the spelling of names, Dostoevsky, for instance, you can enter the part of the name that you know. For example, I know the first 3 letters are DOS. I can enter that. I can put an asterisk to represent the part of the word that I don't know how to spell. And I press search. And then the catalog will retrieve, again, occurrences of the letters that I do include, in this instance DOS, followed by every variation following the asterisk. So in this case, look at here we have all the books by Dostoevsky, and I didn't even need to spell his name correctly. So that's another wonderful tip. So that's it. I hope you learned a lot. Please look at the other video tutorials for additional information, and happy reading.